The 9 Abidings of the Mind. Today is our 7th session of practice. We continue deepening samadhi, tranquility based on mindfulness of breathing. Before entering the first jhana, there is a most vital stage called access concentration. When the mind can stay evenly and quietly, it reaches this state of balance, the gateway to deep meditation. Many people say, "I don't want access concentration. I want the first jhana right away." Some say, "Why bother with concentration? Isn't it better to awaken directly?" These are words without lineage or guidance. They come from those who have never met a genuine teacher and who speak about meditation without true understanding. Inner abiding, even this first stage, is not easy. Among the 9 stages of the mind, it is the very beginning. Why is it so? Because most people have not yet started to truly listen. They have not yet found a wise and trustworthy guide. Many think, "I give donations, I make offerings, I'm kind to others, I am filial to my parents. Isn't that enough?" These are all good and wholesome deeds, but they belong to a different kind of cause and effect. Even among those who live with faith and generosity, some may never meet a true teacher in their whole life. To meet a true teacher, one must have both wholesome roots and the right conditions. Conditions come from past and present connections. Among the people we have met and formed bonds with, there may be one who becomes the guiding teacher. Only then do we have the real chance to cross over from confusion to understanding. Why is a true teacher so important? Because before meeting one, we have not truly begun to hear the Dhamma. Without the power of hearing, the mind cannot begin to turn inward. Inward abiding depends on it. At first, our minds scatter outward. Now, through learning, we have developed some understanding of clear comprehension, the knowing that supports mindfulness. There are 4 types of clear comprehension: knowing what is beneficial, knowing what is suitable, knowing what we are doing and where, and knowing without delusion. Through listening and understanding, we begin to use this clear knowing, especially the kind that is free from delusion. When clear comprehension matures, right view begins to arise. Right view gives birth to insight, and joy naturally follows. A small joy, a quick joy, or a continuing joy, all appear as the heart opens. Because of this joy, we can look back and see how our earlier thoughts, speech, and actions were unwholesome. Now the mind has turned towards safety, away from danger and wrongdoing. Before we had inner abiding, before we met the path of true liberation, our minds were always turned outward. From the moment of birth, the 6 senses constantly reached for their 6 objects. Since childhood, we have lived in plans and desires, always centering everything around me and mine. We act according to what we like, following impulses without restraint. This is how most people live when they are young. When we grow older, life fills with work, family, property, and emotions. We cling to people and things. The sense of I and mine grows stronger. Then come passion and anger, worry and complaint. We no longer know what to do. We think we are seeking happiness. But what are we really chasing? We only know we are grasping and rejecting, liking and disliking, burned constantly by the fire of our own craving. Over time, sleeplessness appears, and the mind grows dull and weary. How do we face the loss of our youthful years? How do we face the things we once had but can never get back? How do we face old age, sickness, and death? We live mostly in confusion and delusion, bound and unable to free ourselves. We keep searching but cannot find the way out. We do not know the path to liberation. When evening comes in life, the years of old age, the elders, the grandfathers and grandmothers spend more and more time recalling the past. They plan less and less for the future until all that remains is memory. Their minds are filled with attachments, the grip of what they cannot let go. Their families are large. Whenever they meet their children or grandchildren, the first words are always, "How have you been these days? How is work? How is your health?" Then another visitor comes, and the same questions appear again, in different forms, filled with care and worry. People tell them, "You're old now. You shouldn't worry so much." They answer, "Yes, yes, I won't." But soon they forget and start again. Habit pushes them to keep asking, "What are you doing now? Is everything going smoothly?" And sometimes when we meet such elders, we ask gently, "Do you still remember me?" If they do, we say, "Ah, even at your age, your memory is still good." But at times, sadly, they look at us blankly. They cannot remember their own grandchildren. That is natural. In human life, when memory fades, one may no longer recognize even close family. That is the dullness of delusion. Therefore, we must learn to abide inwardly. Once our mindfulness gathers and concentration grows stronger, the mind naturally turns inward. This depends on the power of listening. Without the strength of listening, the mind cannot truly settle inside. We call such people busy-minded. They cannot stay still. Their thoughts scatter endlessly. Whenever they meet someone, they must ask, "What is your name? Where are you from? What do you do?" The questions go on and on. This is human habit, an untrained mind. But when the mind begins to turn inward, we start to talk about the Dhamma, about the 10 Dhammas, food, name and form and so on, up to the 10 recollections. Every thought turns toward the path of liberation. Every thought touches the qualities of the awakened mind. This shows how important the power of listening is. The power of listening supports and fulfills inward abiding. Next comes the power of reflection. With reflection, wisdom begins to arise. What kind of wisdom? The wisdom of one who has listened much, who carries the Buddha's teaching within. Reflection means to remember, to keep the teacher's words and guidance alive in the heart. When this memory is steady, the mind continues to abide inwardly. Then comes the power of recollection. We must keep recalling, keep reviewing, Keep reciting so that we do not forget. When recollection becomes strong, nothing is forgotten. At this stage, wisdom becomes one's own. It transforms into personal understanding. The mind becomes flexible, able to reason clearly, able to express truth with ease. Recollection supports and fulfills the stages of abiding and close abiding. This is the importance of recollection. It holds the practice together and keeps the mind from drifting. The third of the 6 strengths is the strength of recollection. It allows the mind to stay steady, to remember what has been learned, and to keep the Dhamma alive within. The 4th strength, clear comprehension. The strength of clear comprehension is the power that subdues. When the mind is subdued, it becomes like a young ox that has been trained into a strong and obedient one. How does the wise master train the ox? First, he ties it firmly to a post. He keeps it under control until it learns to stay still. Our mind is the same. We tie it gently to the breath, keeping attention within a small area below the nose. A simple, steady point of focus. As we stay with this spot day after day, the mind gradually becomes calm, like the tamed ox. Once trained, it follows its master, no longer running into the crops. It knows what is wholesome and what is not, what is grain and what is weed. It can clearly tell the difference. When the mind reaches this stage of subduing, it becomes naturally alert and discriminating. Each thought, each movement of mind is clearly known for what it is. Wholesome or unwholesome, worthy or unworthy of attention. When the ox has been tamed, the master rejoices. So too, when mindfulness and clear comprehension mature, awareness looks back and sees how, before inward abiding, before steady abiding or subduing, the mind was always restless, hurting others, disturbing others, filled with pride and ignorance. Now the heart feels joyful, knowing that it no longer repeats old mistakes. Before, mistakes were made without knowing. Now, even if a wrong impulse arises, it is quickly seen and released. A subdued mind becomes peaceful and wise. It does not fall back into old habits. It becomes alert before acting, aware before falling into error. Because the mind is tamed, its strength is harnessed. Like a trained ox now working for the master, creating great benefit. Once the heart is subdued, gratitude arises naturally. Filial love, compassion, and the wish to help others. These qualities begin to function on their own. Merit grows. Wholesome actions appear. All good qualities unfold. The mind now clearly distinguishes what leads to suffering and what leads to freedom. It stays close to what is wholesome and lets go of what should be abandoned. This is called discernment of the true path. Quietude. After subduing comes stillness. Stillness means true quiet of the heart. When the mind becomes quiet within, this is due to the strength of clear comprehension. The satisfaction of a subdued, peaceful mind. At this stage, and as soon as a thought arises, awareness arises with it. When a wandering thought appears, it is known instantly. The recognition comes quickly. The mind awakens at once. It is like the trained ox that still has its old habit of stepping into the crops. The moment it remembers the master and the whip, it turns back. It no longer damages the field. Thoughts arise and vanish in a moment. Why? Because mindfulness, concentration, and clear comprehension have become strong enough to govern the mind. This is the state of a quiet mind. The fifth of the 6 strengths is the strength of diligence. Diligence means continuous effort, steady, close, and without interruption. It sustains 2 states of mind, the deepest quiet and single-pointed attention. With these, the mind becomes unified and unmoved. It is through this strength of diligence that deep meditation grows. This is why we must practice with constancy again and again, without breaks. This strength of tranquility is vital. Many people say, to practice, I only need to chant a mantra or repeat a sacred name. They have never even heard of the power of calm, the stillness of true concentration. They may practice all their life and still not know whether what they follow is truly the Buddha's path, the noble path of awakening. Without understanding, their practice becomes a mixture of beliefs, a confusion of religion and superstition. They cannot tell the difference between Taoist, Buddhist, Confucian, or other teachings. The true Dhamma is distinct. It has its own unique way, the path of tranquility and insight. These two are different, yet inseparable. They must support each other. Now we are practicing the way of tranquility. We train in serenity, first step by step, without rushing, without skipping ahead. The strength of diligence and the deepest quiet. When the strength of diligence matures, the heart becomes still like the great ocean, calm and vast. When the mind is calm, wandering thoughts no longer arise. This is like returning home after working outside all day. Coming home, we cook, we clean. This is continued and steady abiding. Then we brush our teeth, wash, and lie down. This is close abiding. And after resting, there is subduing and then quiet. At the stage of deepest quiet, it is like lying in bed after long rest. The fatigue not fully gone, yet comfort already deep and clear. This is the stage of the deepest quiet. Here we can reflect gently. What did I do right today? What did I do wrong? If it was right, continue it. If it was wrong, do not repeat it. At this level of deepest quiet, the mind can hold its ground firmly. It can sustain mindfulness without losing it. Desire, anger, ill will, and all unwholesome thoughts dissolve on their own. This is the power of the deepest quiet. The strength that keeps mindfulness continuous so that wholesome awareness flows without gap and all unwholesome tendencies fade away naturally. One-pointed focus. One-pointed focus is just like our practice of mindfulness of breathing. The first step, knowing the in-breath and the out-breath. The second step, knowing whether the breath is long or short. The third step, knowing the whole breath from beginning to end. The fourth step, knowing the subtle breath, the breath that becomes light and fine. When the mind is steady, all four are clear. If we simply stay with the first step, the other three appear naturally known, clearly as they are. We do not change the breath. We follow it gently, aware of it in the present moment, exactly as it shows itself. We observe the breath as it is. This is one-pointed focus. One-pointed focus is the 8th stage of the 9 stages of the mind. It is supported by the strength of diligence. The strength of diligence fulfills 2 states of mind, the deepest quiet and one-pointed focus. When the breath becomes subtle, when we reach the stage of the fine breath and one-pointed focus, the 4 great elements begin to change. Earth, water, fire, and air shift from heavy to light, toward ease, toward softness. The body becomes peaceful and buoyant. The mind begins to incline toward the first absorption. Sometimes light appears at the nose tip, or at the forehead, or within the space around us. It is all clear. Yet attention and mindfulness remain in charge. We remember, do not stay with the light for too long. It is only a meditation sign, so we bring the attention gently back. When the mind is in one-pointed focus, we can use the mind freely. We can attend to the first step, or the second, or the third, or the fourth. Everything we have heard, everything related to mindfulness of breathing, everything related to access concentration, can be applied easily. The mind becomes single, pure, unmixed, without confusion. This is one-pointed focus. The 6th strength, the strength of familiarization. Even abiding arises from the strength of familiarization. Before, our practice was like collecting scattered beads. Each bead found separately, each one polished. Only at the end are they strung into a curtain. That is familiarization. For a long time we have practiced the first 8 states: inward abiding, continued abiding, steady abiding, close abiding, subduing, quieting, deepest quiet, and one-pointed focus. Each must be trained well. Each must be reinforced again and again. The first step of mindfulness of breathing must be practiced until it is strong and unforgettable. Then the second step. Then the third step. Then the fourth step. All must be trained. When even abiding appears, the strength of familiarization is complete. Once this strength is established just by placing attention below the nostrils at the small area above the upper lip, the 4 steps of mindfulness of breathing appear naturally. They are connected. The fine breath becomes clear. The calming of bodily activity becomes clear. Breath throughout the body becomes clear. When one element is known, all 4 are known. And sometimes 10 or 16 points of contact are felt at the same time, each one distinct. This is the work of a sharpened mind. This is when access concentration is born, alive, present, real. A person at this stage does not say carelessly, I have the first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana. If he still cannot sit steadily, if his legs still ache, how could it be the first jhana? Even inward abiding is not yet stable. The teacher has not yet been met. Such claims are meaningless. They come from teachers who themselves do not understand. Some teachers speak of gods, saints, or blessed beings. Their students follow loosely, saying whatever they wish, claiming whatever they like. And so Buddhism becomes casual, undisciplined, full of personal opinions. Sects appear. Arguments appear. Division appears. But true Dhamma has no quarrel. It is mutual kindness, mutual goodwill. The strength of familiarization is essential. Without the previous 8 stages, the 9th, even abiding, cannot appear. When this strength matures, the heart becomes noble and refined. There is a sense of inner dignity, a quiet beauty. It is like a naturally beautiful person, already handsome or lovely by birth, and then well-dressed, adorned, properly fitted, shining with dignity in the mirror, because of the 4 steps of mindfulness of breathing, because of hearing the teachings, reflecting on the teachings, and practicing the teachings. All 3 wisdoms appear together. This strength of familiarization fulfills even abiding. The mind becomes balanced and steady like the calm ocean, able to purify itself. When access concentration becomes stable even in daily life, if someone blames us, mocks us, or mistreats us, the mind does not move. There is no disturbance, because the strength is inside, because the person dwells in the Dhamma. From within, joy arises, not yet complete. Only small joy, momentary joy, and recurring joy. Full joy or rapturous joy belongs to the first absorption. This joy is not yet complete, but like the tides of the sea, it rises again and again, strong and alive. Why does joy appear? Where does it come from? Joy comes from contact. Contact with the body, contact with the shifting of the 4 great elements, from coarse to subtle, from heavy to light, from rough to soft. This is the strength of familiarization, fulfilling even abiding. Access concentration is called access, because it has not yet reached the first absorption. When access concentration becomes firm and stable, there is lightness in body and mind. 16 kinds of contact arise, bringing natural happiness. This joy depends on no outer condition, not on food, not on wealth, not on praise. It rises from within. But the 5 kinds of joy are not yet complete. To move from access to the first absorption, there must be a middle stage neighborhood concentration. Neighborhood concentration is close in quality, close in goodness, close in wisdom, but it is still not the absorption itself. Absorption is called fixed concentration. Neighborhood concentration is the approach toward it. It is near, but not yet. The 9 stages of the mind, must be supported by the 6 strengths. The 9 stages of settling the mind must be supported by the 6 strengths. These 6 strengths uphold each stage. The strength of listening supports inward abiding. The strength of reflection supports continued abiding. The strength of recollection supports steady abiding and close abiding. The strength of clear comprehension supports subduing and quieting. The strength of diligence supports the deepest quiet and one-pointed focus. The strength of familiarization supports even abiding. In the 9 stages, all 6 strengths must be present. They work together. 4 modes of applied attention within the 9 stages. Within the 9 stages of the mind, there are also 4 modes of applied attention. We must recognize this clearly. Although the mind is focused, this practice depends on the body, on the material form. Concentration arises based on the physical process of breathing. It is not separate from the body. Many people say, practice is all about training the mind. Why do we need all these additional steps? But the truth is simple. Any practice related to deep concentration must depend on the body. If it does not depend on the physical process, true concentration cannot arise. It is impossible, just as one cannot gain supernormal abilities. Without relying on a physical meditation object, one cannot gain concentration without depending on the body, on supernormal abilities. People ask, how does one gain psychic abilities? These abilities arise through the 10 meditation objects: earth, water, fire, air, space, consciousness, and the 4 colors. All are based on material form. Without depending on form, even supernormal knowledge cannot arise. A meditator who has no clear knowing, no higher knowledge, will have no functional abilities. The differences between psychic power, transformative power, and the power of merit. Psychic power. What we call psychic power is something even ghosts may have. Spirits, non-human beings, asuras. Their abilities come from karmic result. A karmic result may allow them to fly, but that does not mean they truly have psychic power. A bird flies because of its karmic result, yet it is not superior to humans. Its flying is simply the fruit of its past actions. This is called resultant ability. Ghosts also have their own ghostly abilities. Where do ghosts live? Some wander here among humans, scattered, few in number, but the great hosts of non-human beings, organized, disciplined, countless, are in the heaven of the 4 great kings. The heavenly king oversees them. These include the Gandhabas, Garudas, Kinnara, all protectors of the Buddha's teaching, all disciples of the 3 jewels. When we understand the teachings clearly, we can distinguish what psychic power truly is. The beings of the 6 sensual heavens also have abilities. They possess 5 types of power: the ability to see beyond the human eye, to hear beyond the human ear, to know the thoughts of others, to recall past lives, and to move freely through the heavenly realms. These 5 powers exist even there. Yet the powers of the sensual heavens are not equal to those of the first absorption, and the first absorption is not equal to those of the second. Why the difference? Because each higher state knows more, sees more, penetrates more deeply. From the second absorption upward, third, fourth, and the 4 formless states. All possess these 5 powers, each surpassing the level below. The only power they do not have is the ending of all defilements. A worldling, anyone still within the 3 realms, can never have the power of ending all defilements. This power belongs only to those who have seen the truth. To end the outflows means to end the defilements. To end the defilements means freedom. To gain such freedom, one must attain at least the first stage of awakening. At that stage, the sense of a permanent self has fallen away. Right conduct, right collectedness, and right wisdom become untainted. Only then does the wisdom of ending the outflows arise. So the complete 6-fold power comes only through cultivation. Many beings have partial powers even without deep concentration, because they practiced wholesome actions in past lives. Transformative power. Transformative power is different. This is not karmic result. Transformative power must be trained intentionally with proper guidance from a true teacher. To develop transformative power, one must practice the 10 universal signs: earth, water, fire, air, space, consciousness, and the 4 colors: blue, yellow, red, and white. Only with these 10 meditation objects can transformative power be developed. This is called transformative power, or the power of deliberate manifestation. The transformative power of merit. The power of merit is different still. The transformative power of merit arises from loving kindness, from practicing loving kindness, from generosity, from supporting the 3 jewels. It arises from action, from giving with one's own hands, from sincere and direct goodness. Such results are extraordinary. They are described in the scriptures. One example is Ānāpānasati, whom we call the giver of alms, or feeder of the poor. His generosity was so great that people called him the great almsgiver, and his younger brother the little almsgiver. He established 5 places in the great city, where the poor, the sick, and the homeless could receive food and care: north, south, east, west, and center. These places helped all who were in need. He and his brother gave tirelessly. Thus he became known as Ānāpānasati, the great supporter of the lonely and the lost. In the era of the future, Buddha Mateya, he will be reborn as one of the 7 treasures of the wheel-turning king. The treasure of the householder, the keeper of wealth. The transformative power of merit is astonishing. Some people may have psychic powers, yet they cannot see certain things. But one with the power of merit can see treasure in the sky, treasure in the earth, treasure beneath the water. Where do these treasures come from? Why do they exist? Because in the cycles of the world, the great cosmos of 1,000 galaxies, land becomes ocean, mountains sink, oceans rise, all due to the collective karma of beings. When the great cycle of destruction comes, worlds are ruined and emptied. A world with its sun and moon and Mount Sumeru is called a small world system. To form such a world requires 20 small aeons. The scriptures explain this time scale. When humans reach 80,000 years of lifespan, their lives grow shorter by 1 year every 100 years. At the Buddha's time, the human lifespan was 80. Now, 3,000 years later, we have lost 30 years. And the average lifespan is about 50. This is the natural pattern. Some live longer, some reach 100, but the general trend is clear. Around 50, strength declines. The body weakens and old age becomes evident. The lifespan decreases down to 10. This is called the aeon of decrease. Then from 10, it increases again. 1 year added every 100 years up to 80,000. This increase and decrease together make one small aeon. 20 such cycles make one medium eon dash dash. The time required for a world to form. Like a human growing in the womb from conception to childhood to adulthood. Formation takes time. After formation comes the aeon of abiding. Only in this period do beings inhabit the world. Then comes decay, 20 aeons. Then emptiness, 20 aeons. Formation, abiding, decay, emptiness, each 20 aeons. Together make 80 small aeons, one great aeon. 3 great eons are needed for countless cycles of world evolution. Returning to Ānāpānasati. Because of loving kindness, because of generosity, because he honored the 3 jewels and lived the 10 wholesome actions, he gained immeasurable merit. His home was always open to monks. Robe, bowl, food, medicine, all were offered freely. Thus his merit became very great. With such merit, he could see treasure in water, treasure in the sky, treasure in the earth. These treasures appear during the cycles of destruction, gathered and protected by non-human beings, until someone with vast merit appears. Only then may the treasures be given. They are guarded until the right conditions arrive. Thus, in practice, psychic power, transformative power, and the power of merit are all different. When one has the power of merit, even earthquakes, storms, fires, and floods cannot harm them. Not because of protection from gods, not from external help, but because of one's own merit. This is why we learn. Always look inward. The path is not outside. A true teacher shows the method, guides, protects, and points the way. But walking the path is completely up to us. Just like learning to walk, no one can take the steps for us. The 4 modes of applied attention. Within the 9 stages of settling the mind, there are 4 modes of applied attention. We need to understand this clearly. 01. Energetic applied attention. The first mode is energetic applied attention. The first two stages of the 9 inward abiding and continued abiding, belong to this category. What is this energy? It is the strength required to guard the mind carefully, to cultivate and sustain mindfulness, one-pointed attention, and clear comprehension. These three are the strengths of tranquility meditation, the foundation of samatha. They must be strengthened again and again. The second aspect of this energy is encouragement, a gentle inner urging. We must keep ourselves alert, keep ourselves awake, or the practice fades quickly. So inward abiding and continued abiding are held by energetic applied attention. What does applied mean here? It means to turn the mind. Our usual thoughts run outward, thinking of the past, imagining the future, wandering in useless fantasies and concerns. Now we must turn these tendencies toward a new direction. We train attention, mindfulness, and clear comprehension to become steady and skillful, like turning raw ore into refined gold. It must go through the furnace. It must be transformed. When the legs ache, when the back is sore, when the body feels cold, the mind looks for excuses. Maybe later. I have something to do. This is the raw ore. It must be refined. It must be trained. So at the beginning, we rely on energetic applied attention. The mind is still mixed with distraction, mixed with discomfort, mixed with resistance. Sitting is restless, and the heart does not settle. This stage requires training, steady, consistent practice. That is the secret of success. You have not yet turned the ore into gold. You are still coarse, still filled with habitual craving, anger, and harm. Mindfulness has not yet become natural. Thus, energetic applied attention holds the first two stages, inward abiding and continued abiding. 02. Intermittent applied attention. The second mode is intermittent applied attention. Intermittent means there are still gaps. The mind is not continuous. Sometimes it wanders away. Sometimes it becomes sleepy. Sometimes restlessness arises. Sometimes anger, sadness, frustration appear. The stillness is not stable. It breaks again and again. This means the power of tranquility is not yet strong. The mind still scatters. Old habits still pull us away. This intermittent attention holds the stages of steady abiding, close abiding, subduing, quieting, and the deepest quiet. All these still contain gaps. 03. Unbroken applied attention. The third mode is unbroken applied attention. There is only one stage here, one pointed focus. This is rare and precious. Here the mind no longer moves. It does not shift. It does not waver. When we sit, time disappears. You sit in the dark, and suddenly it is morning. The mind has gone beyond time, beyond space. This is very different from when we are still in the earlier stages, restless, waiting, thinking, why is the time so long? Why has the door not opened? Why is this so difficult? Those are the stages of gaps. But when unbroken, applied attention arises, the mind is steady. It does not shake. It is quiet, rooted, free of wandering. The heart becomes joyful. This is the strength of one-pointed focus, the strength of clear comprehension, aware, bright, continuous, unbroken. This is unbroken, applied attention. 04. Effortless applied attention. The fourth mode is effortless applied attention. This belongs only to the 9th stage, even abiding. Here the mind is balanced and even, steadily calm, without waves, without disturbance. The body and mind feel light and peaceful. The body feels empty. The mind feels empty. Empty of disturbance, empty of scattered thoughts. It is like walking on clouds, light, unobstructed, with energy flowing smoothly through the body. This is effortless applied attention, the culmination of the 9 stages, the fruit of the 6 strengths. These are the 4 modes of applied attention. Within the 9 stages of the mind, all are supported by the 6 strengths. Let us practice mindfulness of breathing with diligence. When we understand clearly, we gain the 9 stages and the 6 strengths that support them. The 9 stages contain these 4 modes of applied attention. Good. Let us take a 5-minute break and then return to the meditation hall.